Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Twitter Spaces with me, Kalu Aja. Glad to have you all here from wherever you're listening from. We do this every Saturday where we talk about money, the economy, how it all intersects, but we try to make it in like personal for you. So it's like we talk those big economic stuff, but we break it down so that you can use it and you can run with it, right? Today, I want to talk real estate, and I tried to get someone from Abuja FCT, good friend, Makdi Mohammed. I'm just going to wait for him to join so I can add him on as a speaker. And if you've been following us, we've been trying to talk, I think, in the last week or so. Was it August? We had this discussion about real estate and what's it called? Should we say the returns in Nigeria if you invest in real estate. I was making the point a while back that if you take 100 million naira, right, and that 100 million naira is what you're going to invest in a building. So you buy the land, you build this building up for about 2-3 years, and your total cost is give or take about 100 million, right? And it's a duplex, and you then rent out that duplex. If you are not getting 10 million naira a year on that duplex, which is going to be the 10% of your return. So 10% yield, right? We're just asking, is it really worth it? Because right now, if you took the exact same 100 million and you try to invest, in, should we say, treasury bills. If you invested in treasury bills, you would get the same 10% without the risk. So is it really worth it to put 100 million in real estate? I mean, you're going to deal with the tenants, you're going to deal with property taxes and all that. So this is just my question I asked. Like if you look at it really, is it possible? Is real estate still that investment that you can make and really make money out of it? Who is it for? Is real estate for a retiree or for a young person? If you're a young person and you had 100 million and you built a house and it was just you living in it, okay, you say you're not going to pay rent. I hear you. But as an investor, if you put in 100 million, you're getting the same return that you would get if you bought a treasury bill. Then you then see why maybe real estate might not really be that, uhuru that we're making out to be, because 10% is a lot. And this is the inflation rate is 19%. Yeah. But if you can't make that 10% on it, they really are not making any money. So this is just what I talk to Madi about. I see him here, he's sending me a text that he can't get in. So we're just going to talk around it till he jumps in. If you want to hop real quick, let me lay out the numbers for you again. Inflation in Nigeria is 19%. The monetary policy rate, which is the rate where the government or the central bank will borrow money out to say, if you want to borrow money, if you're a bank and you want to borrow money from the banks, central bank will lend you money at 14%, not to you, to the banks, 14%. If you bought a treasury bill, which means you went to the federal government and you lend money to the federal government, that's what happens when you buy their treasury bill. What happens is this: you are going to get 10%. So if you lend money to the federal government, you get 10%. But if you invest in your private business, you might not get 10%. The federal government has less risk than you. So it means any business not giving you more than 10% by way of investing, you shouldn't do it. Because the risk-free rate in Nigeria, which is measured by the amount of money that the government will borrow from you, is about 10%. That's a treasury bill for 1 year. If you do bonds are more fixed, right? So the bonds are more fixed in income. They are 2, 3, 4 years. Some are not giving you 10% today, but I bet you anyone that is going out in the future now is going to give you more than 10% because the short-term rates are 10%. So the longer ones are going to be much, much longer than 10%. So this is the scenario that you have playing in front of you. Is it better to buy a house or is it better to just rent a house? Would you take 100 million naira and lock it away in an asset that gives you less than you would have gotten if you just took that money and put in the bank. Now, I understand many people do not like to do interest, right, because of religion and ethics. But let's even talk about trading. Let's just talk about trading. If you bought bags of rice in January and you just kept those bags of rice at home, and then next year, January, you sold all the bags of rice, you would also make more money than if you put the money in the building. Because if inflation is 19%, right? So if you did that, you would then be like, you would make more money from that as well. So this is the question I already talked to Abdul Malik really about. Abdul Malik, I've sent you a co-host. I see you trying to join and it's kicking you out. I've sent you a co-host invite. I've also tried to add as a speaker. Not sure why it's not you go in. Perhaps you go all, okay, you're now in as a co-host, Malik, yeah? So if you're in as a co-host, you can unmute and then you can speak. Excellent. So this is the situation, guys. So I wanted to bring in a real estate guy, but also a real estate guy in Abuja, because all these Lagos people, you guys have Lekki. You guys will argue with me that Lekki is giving you money. Let's talk about quote unquote real Nigeria outside Lagos. Let's see if the returns in Abuja are doing better than Lagos, or if they could give us a pointer. Abdul Malik, welcome to the party. How are you doing, sir?
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
And everyone.
Yeah. Great. Malik, I'm going to have you speak up just a bit so that we can all hear you exactly. And if you could, I'm like, could you just maybe introduce yourself? Great.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Super. Okay. So Malik, maybe just introductions are going to be in order. Maybe just introduce yourself. Tell us what you do. Tell us about your company. Then from there, I can ask you my questions.
Okay, my name is Abdul Malik Mabi. I'm the Managing Director of Modern Shelter Systems and Services Limited, where
Well, Malik, I think your network is bad, really. You're in and out. Malik, I tell you what, Malik, can you go out, then come back in? I think your network is bad. If you go,
affordable housing, where we're working with the family home funds and state government. We're also into student housing. We're into markets in Bauchi, in Gombe. We have other affordable housing sites in Bauchi and Sokoto. So we're quite busy, and we're trying to touch the real estate space, because when you talk real estate, there's this notion that people just think of residential real estate and buying to own and live in homes. Meanwhile, real estate is quite large. There are a lot of facets to it, and so Modern Shelter is trying to play the different spaces, to try to add value to the lives of ordinary Nigerians and to connect the dots between buyers, finance, stakeholders who are not necessarily carried along all the time.
Okay. So, Mike,
in a nutshell, that is who we are.
Okay. All right. So, Mike, we're going to try. We're going to try. I think the talk is a bit bad, but I'm going to try so I can just maybe repeat. So, you see your Modern Shelter. You guys are into like I heard you say affordable housing. I heard you say hostels and all that. We're going to get to those specifics, right? But I'll just start off with a broad level question about macroeconomics in Nigeria and the economy in general in Nigeria. What's your take about the economy? Like, if you're a business guy playing in Abuja, what's your take about this economy? Would you give it let's score it 1 to 5? 5 being very, very bad, 1 being very, very good, 3 in the middle. Is the economy good? Is the economy bad? What's your take as a guy investing in Nigerian space?
Okay. It's really bad. It's very, very bad. It's 6. It's not even 5. because I mean, we are in a country where nobody knows the price of anything. You go to the market on Monday, you get that invoice. It's really valid for 24 hours because everything is changing. You literally have to pay cash 100% to guarantee anything. Sometimes they even return your money. In cases where we pay for materials, in advance, and we go to collect these materials from some companies, like chippings, quarry products, and they just return your money because it's cheaper for them to return your money than to give you at the price that you locked in at. So it's very, very terrible, and it's very, very difficult to do business in this environment, to be very honest. Because if there's any other choice for people, I'm sure we would definitely not be here. But I mean, we have no choice but to remain here. We have no choice but to remain here.
So if I heard you correctly, right, you're saying that there's so much uncertainty really with doing business in Nigeria that when you are planning your projects, you really can't plan because prices keep on going up. And if you get an invoice, in many cases, it's really a 24-hour invoice if you don't pay cash and collect right there and then. I heard you say you paid someone in advance for chippings, you got there and they'll tell you, listen, we're just going to return your money because prices have moved up so much with inflation, and they can't just meet that price guarantee they gave you. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, definitely, yes. So, especially in the real estate sector, we have this issues. It's terrible. Every day things go up, and we face the unique challenge in that we sell a lot of things off plan, and so I sell a house to you 10 million today.
Yeah.
And by 7 months, 6 months down the line, the price of building a house is more than 10 million per.
Wow.
So we have had to be very creative with our lawyers in terms of coming up with clauses in our offer letters that protect us going forward, fluctuation clauses to say, if prices go up, these are the prices as of today. You list them as by the DOQ. These are the prices of cement, tiles, and all that. And that if they go up significantly, then we'll have to come back to you. We'll have to do separate contracts for finishing from, builders' works. We've had to sell semi-finished houses or carcass, as some people call it, just in a bit to protect ourselves. Because any contracts, for example, that we entered 2018, 19, 20, is virtually, if you're very lucky, you do. But if not, it's just a loss.
Wow.
And real issues.
So, I mean, a long time ago, I did an off plan where I bought a house a long time ago, off plan, and they had the same issue where I paid and inflation caught up with them and they could not deliver. And that company actually went down, right? So what you're saying is that right now, off plan as a way to finance real estate. Let me just explain off plan. Off plan is that I pay for a house today that does not exist, but I'm paying the developer in advance. The developer takes my money in advance and is able to build that house and deliver to me and others. The advantage to me is that because I'm paying in advance for what does not exist, I'm paying as a discount. But what I'm hearing you say is that off-plan is not working anymore because you are inserting clauses to protect yourself from a price increase. That's no longer off-plan, is it?
Yeah, well, it is technically still off-plan, but at the end of the day, for both your protection and indeed the client's protection, you need to put in those clauses. Because if the money cannot finish the house, the clients know. These same clients we're buying gas a certain amount. Gas is 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 or whatever. Everybody knows it, right? That these prices have gone up. So it's not just the real estate that is affected. So you need to, once you are transparent upfront and you tell the clients, this is what it is, they also know what they're going to do. So I think the secret to that is, for me, is as an investor, if I was going to buy a house, I'm advising anybody to buy a house, you have to get incredible, developer, a company that has capacity, to actually weather the storm, to actually go to the banks and get money. So it's actually cheaper for you now to get a bank loan, even at 30%, come and build the estate and sell at completion at the price of completion. Because the price of borrowing, it's not going to be more than that amount.
Interesting.
Total rates, all that. If you borrow at 30%, 25%, 18%, whatever you get, it's most likely going to stay like that for the 24 or 6 months that the bank is going to give you the money at. So you are not also subject to the cash flows of various clients, because if you are building an estate that is more than 10 units, then you are in trouble because you are dealing with 100 clients, each with a different payment plan, each with a different cash flow, each one has a different problem in his life.
Yeah.
So if they don't pay you as they're going to, then you have a problem. You are building a block of flats, 10 units, only 2 people are paid 100%.
Yeah.
The other people are not paying you. There's no way you can finish the house. So I think the market right now is very tough. It's not for new entrants. It's very difficult for a new entrant to come in, and do well at the moment. So you have to have some goodwill with the banks. You must have a solid track record, to give investors confidence to give you that money upfront, or you'll be able to go to the banks or other financial institutions to raise money. You have to be very creative, you have to be very smart in raising money for real estate developments right now. And the earlier you build, the faster you get out of sight, the cheaper ultimately the project is for you, because the longer you stay, the more expensive the project is. You have no control over those prices.
I mean, you said something you said that touched me, Imam. You're saying it's cheaper now to go to the bank and pay that high interest cost, the traditional way to build a house, than to use what everybody in the world uses, which is off plan. Because again, off plan means you are getting financing cheaper than what you would get in the bank.
You get from the clients, they are borrowing from the clients.
Yeah.
It's not also because for me to collect your money off plan, if I'm going to sell it 100 million at completion, I'll probably give you a discount.
Yeah.
Of roughly around the same amount. The same 20-30% discount you get.
Yeah.
And I'll be there when you are selling the house, maybe at 200 million or at 150 million. Much, much higher. You will probably make more money than I will in the transaction. So it's not really a very smart way to do business. And then, like I said, that's cost of FX, for example. Now, you start a project, you are buying maybe most of the things we are using are imported, especially finishing.
Yeah.
And even the things that we are buying in Nigeria, like cement, Aliko will still use dollar as an excuse to increase the price of bag of cement. So if you get money from the bank, you get all your funding up, you're able to hedge as much as possible, buy most of these things, and come and build the house in 9 months, 12, 18 months, you are done, you are finished with the site. Your cost, it to be 30%.
Yeah.
You are okay with that 30%. Because the cost of inflation, if you look at the difference between maybe even 450, that dollar was trading at last year to 700 today, it's crazy and it's going up. You have no control over that. So it's better to use the devil,
Yeah.
in this case, which is the bank and the rate of the bank, which you added ultimately to your selling price. You are safer taking that money if you're eligible. The banks trust you. You have those relationships. You have those. You have the track record, and you are able to raise that money. You are better off raising the money and building the units and selling them, because also the buyers are now smart. Nobody, because of the issues, a lot of people have gone in, like your own personal example now. I'd rather buy a house that I'm seeing standing, than taking a risk on a project that, no matter the goodwill of the developer, who might not want to default and all that, the issues of the macroeconomy might affect the project. So it's better you just come, you see the house, you like it, you buy it.
Interesting.
Like supermarket arrangement, instead of something that is long into the future that nobody can control.
Let me just take an option. If I'm building a house in Nigeria or say in Abuja, what are the top two highest cost elements? Is it the land and cement? Is it the land and bank loans? What are the major cost elements of a house in say? Yeah.
That's the major cost of elements in Abuja is land. Land in Abuja is very expensive. Abuja land is most like they are buying land in Tokyo or UK or somewhere. It's very expensive to buy land. To get land where there's infrastructure, where there's security. The FCT is supposed to have been developed in phases. So phase 1, phase 2, there's infrastructure. Part of phase 3 is developed, phase 4 a bit, and then you have phase 5, phase 6 as you go outside the town as the ring around the town gets larger and larger. So the satellite towns are not developed. Not everybody can live in Wuse, Maitama, Jagi, Tapo, all those places. And the government has unwittingly, in my opinion, created a rent system, a arbitrage like our FX. So you just apply like a normal Nigerian and you can go to apply for land. So they give you land in Abuja, maybe let's say they give you a location in a new district that's coming up. Government spends taxpayers' money to build infrastructure, very expensive, maybe 200 billion to build infrastructure for this. And they give you the land free. Basically, they just ask you to pay for this, which is in no way commensurate to the cost of the infrastructure that government spends.
Yeah.
So all you need to do is turn around that your paper that you have without even paying the government. So turn around and sell it for 150 million. That's how much I pay. A lot of people just became millionaires overnight. Politicians, patronage system, it's just people land. The minister with his friends, his family, and everything, depending on the government in power, just collect the land, turn around, sell it to real estate developers or DJVs or indeed to speculators, and just collect hundreds of millions and just turn around and go. So even the government itself is not benefiting from the infrastructure they put in. I cannot spend 300 billion to provide infrastructure in a district, and then I'll give people land for maybe 5 million. And then that land, I know that guy will turn around and sell it for 150 million. And pocket the money and probably pay tax on it. Right? It doesn't make any sense. And a lot of people are just holding those COOs in their houses. So the land is not being developed. People that need houses don't have access to land. Developers don't have access to cheap land or land that has infrastructure. Then, by the time I spend money, I'm building an estate now behind Sun City. I'm going to build 4.4 kilometers of road. Definitely, we have to spread the cost on the 300 houses we're building. And then there are a lot of empty plots with people having that title, just sitting down. If I give the title as a minister now, I should be able to tell you that you have to develop this place within 2 years. If you don't develop it within 2 years, 3 years, we'll book it and give it to somebody that's ready to build.
Yeah.
But there are plots in Abuja that are older than me. And those plots are still there. And guys are just sitting on the paper, they just pay ground rent. It's very minimal. Nothing. It's really next to nothing. For a plot of $1 billion naira, your ground rent will not be up to 10 million in a year. So, they just keep it. And they didn't do anything to make that value to 1 billion or to 10 billion. They just want the government did all the infrastructure with all our money.
This is very interesting, man.
The land is allocated in Abuja or has been allocated all this way. It needs to be changed.
Okay, but what's the other cost? Land. I want to come back to land.
I think land is the major thing.
What's the other one?
Building materials are the same. Cement is cement.
Oh, cement. Okay.
Sorry?
So land and cement.
I said cement. Building materials are the same. The cost of labor. So if you're building in Gwagwalada and I'm building in Maitama, our cost of building materials, the extent that we're building the same houses are going to be the same. Apart from maybe labor here and there, but it's the cost of land that will not be different. Because Maitama has infrastructure and Gwagwalada does not.
Gotcha. Let me ask you a question just to dovetail again, right? How much would it cost me to build a 3-bedroom flat? Let's say I'm retiring. Let's ignore the land. 3-bedroom flat in Abuja. How much would it cost me? Basic 3-bedroom flat.
Okay, so let's say
or duplex, whatever.
It's maybe 150 square meters. So it all comes down to your finishing. So let's even assume you are doing, just very conservatively, maybe 80,000 naira per square meter. 80 to 90,000 naira per square meter.
Did you say how much? Did you say?
So if you are building 120,000, if you're building 120 square meters, this is very tiny actually. If you're building, let's say 180 square meters, 3-bedroom flat with all en suite, with visitors toilet, and probably a maid's room, And then flats, in Abuja here, is it block of flats or?
No, let's just say a house. Let's ignore flats, man. Just a house, standalone house, yeah. So it's easy, yeah.
A standalone house. Okay, so let's just multiply 80,000 by 200 square meters. So 80,000 by 200. That should be that will give us. So you are the one that has the mathematical brain. Can you do that math, please?
I mean, I don't want. I just want ballpark, Omadi. Just ballpark. Doesn't have to be exact. Just ballpark. 10 million, 15 million.
Yeah, so 16 million, 16.
So 16 million can build me a 3-bedroom duplex in Abuja. If I get free land.
You said duplex. Duplex is off the ground.
Okay, let's stop on flat. Let's stop on flat.
So flat, one single story building, no upstairs, no nothing, just normal land, no challenges. 16 million should be able to.
This is if I have the land, right?
Yes, just if you have the land, just the building itself, and that is just 200 square meters building. So it's not like a big building like that. It's just normal 3-bedroom, just enough. Because one of the key challenges we also have is we don't cut our coat according to our cloth. So you see somebody coming to price a 2-bedroom house. His salary, his whole salary, everything, by the time you do mortgage, as per mortgage bank, you can't afford more than 15 million. So let's say it's a 2-bedroom house that I'm going to sell at that price. First, the guy will tell you he wants to live in town. And he will tell you you have only 2 parking spaces for a 2-bedroom. If you are buying a house of 18 million, why do you need more than 2 cars? Why do you even have more than 2 cars? Right? So we also have these issues because we have tried in the space, real estate developers have tried to see how can we tailor the product to the income of the beneficiaries. Because government on their own part, they provided federal mortgage bank, family home funds, federal staff housing loans, so many initiatives. But at the end of the day, because it's tied to the income of the civil servant, no matter what, you have to now work backwards. So, okay, let's work from the answer back to the question. So, okay, this guy can afford 100K a month for mortgage payments because you cannot use more than 32% of your salary as mortgage payment.
Yeah.
So we say this guy can do it and he has 15 years left. So what we just do is multiply that 100,000 by if it is 20 years, he has left 240 months, right? And then we'll now get the price. That is the maximum price that the house cannot be more than 15 million. So we say, okay, where can we get land, infrastructure, and build a house of 15 million in Abuja? It's definitely not easy. So we say, okay, let's go and look at Guadalupe areas. Come go and get those places, come and build those houses. But people still refuse to come. I mean, a lot of people come, but some people say, I can't sleep in it. I can't live it. So we also have to look at ourselves as, people that look, this housing is about ladder. There are many homes ladder. So if what I can afford is a 2-bedroom, and I want to go into home ownership, which is not really compulsory, we'll get to that. You don't have to own a house. It's not. Nobody says you must own a house. You can actually invest, buy a house, and give it out on rent, collect the rent, and be paying your rent somewhere. I know people.
Yeah, Madi. Now you're entering my territory, right? This is why I'm doing this space. So I wanted to get this clear before we move on. So what I hear you say is this: if I got free land, when I mean free land, I mean I got land from the government, and I was able to also get bulk cement from Dangote. Maybe the government bought Dangote cement at cost from Dangote through a special arrangement. I'm able to have a house in Abuja for less than 20 million naira.
Well, yes, we're working on that. We're working with family home funds right now to do something like that in Nasarawa, which is just like 17 kilometers from city center.
Yeah.
It's 17 kilometers from there. So, and a lot of people already live there. There are people in Abuja that live in Kefi and come to work every day.
Yeah.
Right? So, the Vice President Office and family home funds have been working with Dangote to see how they can buy cement cost, how they can help, developers acquire some of these building materials in bulk.
Yeah.
Because they also give loans at 10% to developers to build some of these houses for the real low-income class. So affordable housing is still possible. If there's a will, there's a way. So, but it takes the two to come together, because as developers, a lot of us are running away from that affordable housing because we deal with government a lot. You get free land from state governments. We are yet to see one in Abuja FCT, the territory itself. But I mean, when you go to immediately you just pass Kuba a bit, you're already in Niger State. So you can have the geographical location that you're in Abuja, but technically your paper says Niger State. So you can build bungalows. Abuja, they even stop building bungalows. So how can you tell us not to build bungalows and you want affordable housing? It's very difficult. Because by the time you go multi-story buildings, you're talking of leads, you're talking of services, and all those things. And all those things add, to the cost of the accommodation that ordinary civil servants who form the majority of the people living in Abuja cannot actually afford.
That is noted.
Those houses. So it's possible. There are a lot of initiatives, despite everything. Government is trying. To be very honest, they are trying. But need to also come and see that, look, I'm not going to make the money and the fact that the finance is available, and the bottom of the pyramid is where all the customers are. We need to see that, okay, let's find efficient ways where we can play in this sector. It's not easy, it's definitely very difficult, because you are dealing with a lot of people, with a lot of documentation issues, identity issues, financial literacy issues, design issues. There are so many issues to deal with, but I feel that there's the need is there. Definitely, people need houses.
Yeah.
The government has provided the window. You can come and take money at 10% and build these houses. Give houses at 10, 15 million, 22 million. Something that somebody can use his federal mortgage bank loan and his real income, to buy.
Okay.
And then these buyers, all the time we see urge buyers, because you see, it's a cultural thing. We're used to living in government houses. Those days, we grew up with all these GRAs, big houses, everything, 4 bedrooms, so you can invite your whole village to come, your brother's child, everybody will come and live with you. But these days now, we have to also tailor our nuclear families, to smaller apartments, because that's what we can really afford. So we cannot just see a place and say, we have to have 3 toilets in a house, a 2-bedroom house. You want 3 toilets, or you want 4 rooms and suite.
Yeah.
Our culture and all that. You have to adapt.
Yeah.
It's the reality. In abroad, you see a house, 4 bedroom, they only have 1 toilet. Because every toilet you add is a cost. And every cost that is added to the price of the house takes it out of the range of the ordinary person. And the ordinary person is the one complaining that there's nothing for us, nothing for us. When you now come and design a house that they can grow into, they can expand and all that, then you have a lot of pushback that, this house is too small, this is that. So there are a lot of nuances,
to that.
There's a lot of enlightenment and education that we need to do as developers, and government also needs to do, and then we need to change our mindset and psyche as people.
Gotcha.
The younger generation coming through of first-time homeowners, they don't need 4 or 5 bedrooms to start a family, and urban living can actually be what it is. A 1-bedroom apartment, can be available, and somebody can pay rent on a monthly basis and stay in Abuja if he so wishes.
Okay, let me ask you 2 questions real quick.
Satellite towns, for insecurity or lack of infrastructure, these are the issues.
Okay, let me ask you 2 questions based on our discussion right now. I'm talking to you, Abdul Mahdi, the CEO of Urban Modern Shelter. We're talking about real estate in Abuja. What are the issues? How can we get affordable housing and all that? Well, 2 questions for you, right? Number 1, that house we're talking about, that 3-bedroom house in Abuja that I just built, right, for about 16 million, right? How much can I rent it out for? That's number 1. How much can I rent it out for? And number 2, someone is asking me on Twitter to ask you, this from Ikem, what happens to building vertical for affordable housing instead of bungalow? I know you touched on that, but just to be clear, why can't we build vertically? You said something about the cost. Is it just the cost that's the reason why we can't build, say, a 10-story flat in Wuse and put those services there? And why can't in Wuse too? Like in America, they have low-cost homes. In New York, very, very expensive. They have low-cost homes, rent protected.
But New York, just like Abuja, is very big. When we say Abuja, we have to be very careful. This is 2 million naira house. I'm not saying we say 2 of my town. It is Lugbe, Kubwa, Axis, or even Karu. And
Okay.
the Karu side that were able to Nasara part of Karu. But again, just 17 kilometers from city center, right? Because I know that for the longest time in Karu, even senior staff quarters is there in Karu. And these are luxury houses, and Navy quarters. There are a lot of places, So it is when somebody tells you, "I can't find affordable housing," they ask you, "Are you looking in the right place? Where are you going to look for affordable housing? And what is more affordable? Affordable is related to what you can afford. What is your salary? What's your income? And even in the New York we're talking about, when you go to places like Jersey and everything, just actually you can't find affordable housing in Manhattan. And it's not possible. It's not that place. You just go to work and leave that place. The earlier you leave that place, the better. You don't even want to buy food there. Everything there is expensive. We say to. Can you hear me?
Yes, for sure. I can hear you. Yeah, you're loud.
So you can't say we say to why we can't build it. Yeah. So, but in phase 2, phase 3 in Abuja, right? The issue is the cost. And the higher you go, iron rod now is one of the most expensive things in building in Nigeria today. Because we don't make iron rod. Because your favorite project, that Abuja Steel Company, has never worked. So we're importing, or even the ones we're making, they're very expensive. So once something is expensive, you split the purpose of affordable housing. If you go to China, you go to Dubai, all those places, you go vertical and they share spaces. If you go vertical, to power the house, how are people going to be able to go upstairs? The highest you can go for affordable housing is not more than 3 floors, where people can actually climb and come down. But even that really is a bit, it's just the cost.
Okay, so just the cost. So Malik, if there was a way the government could subsidize the cost in Wuse 2, give you that land in Wuse 2, central Wuse 2 for free, government for free, give you other tax breaks for free, is it possible to build a 10-story flat, like 20-story flat of affordable housing? Because it's in Stuyvesant apartments, it's low-cost homes in the center of New York right there, but it's government subsidized. So is it possible?
Government does all that, then I will ask you, can the people there, can they even pay the service charge? Because even if government gives you land, you build it, people still have to pay service charge to maintain the house in terms of elevator, other services, that you need to maintain such buildings. Because maintaining those kind of buildings is difficult. We can't even maintain our federal sector, for example, that is not owned by government. So it goes also to our maintenance culture, facilities management and things like that. And it's not fair on government to say, give me land, or government should give land in city. Because we say to is prime real estate. There's a lot of land in Abuja that is not too far. Gadua, there are a lot of places, even Buzate, that is, half the village. So there are a lot of places that are very good, secure with infrastructure. Our government can give land. But I don't think in our culture right now, and the way, the income, the availability of power, and all these things, that you can do 20, 30 stories. To be honest, I don't think.
Okay. What about the second question, Madi? How much would I rent that house for? That 3-bedroom house I built. How much would I rent it out for?
So in Cuba, 3-bedroom, you can get about $1 million. You can get about 1 million. In a good place, you can get about 1 million.
And that's what, so that's still, if we do the maths on that, 1 million on about 15 million, that's still less than the I'm looking for my magical 10%. That's still less than my 10%.
Okay, so I'll tell you where you get your 10%. So if you invest in commercial real estate, right? So for example, now we're about to start our hotel project in the institutions and research district, just by the Nile and Biz University. And what we're trying to bring into the market is the concept of fractional ownership. So where you, as an investor, own a bed space. So for that same money that you use to build that 3-bedroom and you're collecting 1 million, you buy a bed space with us, and the rent and the return that you will get you very close to that 10%. Because normally in real estate, in very good markets, you're supposed to, in 10 years, be able to get back your money. Right? So 10% return on, and you're looking at rents of 1.5, 1.8. The other way you can do it is if there's a fractional ownership of, let's say, a warehouse, right? There's so much demand for warehouses, but any one single warehouse you are going to build is in hundreds of millions. So why don't cooperatives, and there are a lot of cooperatives, they only look at residential real estate because their owners, their members just want somewhere to live in or just to say they have a tenant. It's like, why don't they build a warehouse next to GIT Logistics somewhere in Kapo, so that that there's a real market. These guys are going to take this from you. They're probably going to rent it for 10 years from you, or an Indomie can come in and say, we're taking this for 10 years. And the money they will pay you is much more than 10%, and it's better than residential real estate in terms of rent. The people doing Airbnb in Abuja, they're making a killing, because of course, every day you're charging 50K, so in no time, you rent a house, renovate it, put Airbnb, and in 2 years, you'll have made your money back. So you are making more money than the person that builds the house. So it all depends on how smart people are in terms of the investments they make in real estate. Because, like I said, real estate is so wide. Even cemetery is real estate. If you go to vaults in Ikoyi now, how much is a plot? You want to buy a plot to bury somebody. That's real estate. That's very smart investment. So if you buy a plot and hold it, maybe after 3 years, somebody comes and gives you 15 million for something you bought maybe 7.5. So these are the issues. We need to be smart as players in real estate. We need to come to the market, and there's so much money out there for real estate. It's institutional investors, but we're not patient enough or knowledgeable enough to create products that let's say pension fund administrators can invest in. The number of REITs that we have in Nigeria, you can count them on one hand. Why are we not doing REITs? Why are we not having fractional ownerships of warehouses, for example, or these hostels or shops? Why are we just chasing residential real estate that does not give you much return? And don't forget that your 1 million, by the time you come after 2 years to collect your money, you will see that the repairs on the house will chop the rent. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So
I personally will not advise anyone to give the house and give tenants, that you'll be collecting rent. That's if you get the rent on time.
Wow.
It would have spoiled your house when they are going to spend all the rent on repairing the house.
Wow.
So the market for real estate is, if you are not living in the house, buy it and sell it.
Wow.
Buy it and sell it. So if you come in, you buy it today. After 2 years, the estate is filled. You sell it, you make money, you move. You invest again and again and again. You are lucky you get a good developer like Modern Shelter. You follow us every 2 years. That's a new project, you go with us. But you see, those commercial real estate, like these hostels that we're doing, like the urban abodes that want to create. So, for example, I know there's a company in Lagos doing something, and they're my friends, so I have no problem advertising for them. It's Purple, they're doing something on the people that own Maryland Mall. They're doing something. There is a sukuk recently, 5 billion, and they're building 1-bedroom apartments, in VI, Lekki, I think Lekki or VI. And those are the kind of investments that, as a young person, you can buy a studio apartment and be collecting rent. And in a very short period of time, the income is very good. You have no problem with the tenants. You don't even know them because it's under management. So you just be making your money, and then when you want to sell, there's a ready market for it. And for tenants, you just get a job now in Lagos. You move to Lagos like my friend Mahmoud. You don't need to go and rent a house, furnish the house, or you are just starting your career in Citibank. You don't need to go and buy TV, fridge, carpet, furniture, all those things. They chop your money, and it's a huge investment. So you just need to go and find those kind of places and start paying on a monthly basis from your salary. And when you want to Japan, you don't have to sell anything because you don't really have anything. You just have your clothes. You just pack your bag and leave. So those are the things that we need to start investing in.
You are saying a lot that I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to just keep up with what you're saying. Number one, if I heard you right, you're saying really for now, buying a house or building a house to rent out does not really make sense until the returns that you're going to get. Number one, is that I heard you say that? Already very, very clear.
That's very correct.
Yeah, and then you're saying
that's very correct.
wow.
And for rent, honestly, you know how it's 20 years. Normally, rent now, if you look at even this 16 million naira house without the land. You're collecting 1 million. That's 16 years before your capital comes back.
That's less than, that's about 6%, yeah.
This capital appreciation is going to sell after year 5, which is the price of the house is 32 million and all that. But if this is just on the rent, honestly speaking, you have to have a lot of houses, you know, and you're collecting a lot of rent for the rent to make any sense. But and for that amount of money, let's say 16 million times maybe 20, to get those number of houses, you can build a small hotel. And that small hotel, every day, you'll be collecting your money. You know, you do your overheads and don't just clear yourself, and you know, you'll be much, much happier.
Gotcha. And just to be clear, let's talk more about this student hostels you're building, right? I don't know if you can give us numbers on. I know what is it all about? Are you planning on doing this across maybe the north or across Nigeria? How does this work? Is it for students only? What is the ROI potentially?
Okay, so for the student housing, we have taken a strategic position as a company. We want to be in the next 5 years the largest providers of student housing in Nigeria. So we're starting with private universities in our place of in Abuja where we started. So we got this land just next to Base and Live University. And because of this dollar issues and everything, the universities and ASU, of course, the universities are booming. They have a lot of students, and like anywhere else in the world, students' accommodation is not enough. So it's fragmented right now all over the city. You know, you go everywhere there, you just go and rent a block of land and then share the rooms for students and charge them a lot of money. So we went out of our way and went to Dubai and got this group, Strategic Housing Group, who own a lot of hostels in Dubai, in Oman, Saudi Arabia, you know, to get the franchise actually for Nigeria and Africa. So we're starting with Abuja. We're soon going to be Lagos, Accra, and Nairobi in the next 3 years. We also have a package for public universities because some of what we're building now in Abuja is for private universities, so the price point is a bit higher. You know, the type of rooms and everything is a bit luxurious. Such that the same model, if we just take it and go and build it in New City, for example, that will not be for students, it will be for young professionals, just like I described the Lagos scenario. So anybody can technically walk in and just stay there. You know, it will be like a tech hub, a campus kind of arrangement. You know, so we have the model for.
Malik, you dropped off a bit.
Sorry?
You dropped off. You are talking. You said you had a model for, then you dropped off. Go ahead.
We have the model for public universities, where we take it for 25 years, build, operate, and transfer. You know, maybe we have 4 people in the room as against the single rooms and double rooms we have for private universities. The price point, you know, is a lot cheaper. The rent is probably more than 250, 350, you know, per bed space as against something that you pay $1 million plus here in Abuja. You know, so for us, it is an area that we see there's a need. There's more than 2 million. There's a gap of more than 2 million bed spaces in schools, existing schools in Nigeria. We're not talking of the students that can't even get into university and all that. So we see that space as something that, and then we're also seeing that fund managers, pension fund administrators, you know, there's a willingness to create financial instruments around this demand because everybody knows that it's a confirmed demand and people will take it. So it is just about putting together the right deal, the right structure, and the money will flow to fund these transactions.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So
and the ROI.
Yeah, go ahead.
The ROI is higher than a typical rent. You know, I give you an example. If you buy a bed space for the same 15 million, you know, you probably get 1.5 million a year. So, you know, you get that your 10%, match 10% you are talking about, you know, comes out from there. So of course, there will be management fees to pay because with the rent, you don't care about the tenants, you don't care about the maintenance. All those things are taken off your neck, you know. So it's quite very attractive. The terms are very good, and the demand is very strong and real.
Okay, all right, guys. Don't worry. Yeah. Thank you. And guys, if you're listening, I see your request. I'm going to let you speak pretty soon. I just want to clear all my questions with Malik, then I'm going to open up the floor to questions. So don't worry, we're going to give you that chance. I'm trying to clear stuff with Malik. Malik, let's talk now about maybe just if you could. Inflation is 19%, right? Do you know of any? Do you think real estate in Nigeria, or let's be specific, in Abuja, can deliver 20%, 21%, hostels, whatever? Is there any way you think real estate can deliver 20, 21%?
So I think in the area of warehouses, if you build a warehouse, because of the relative scarcity of warehouses, especially good warehouses, theoretically, I think yes, and that's
okay. Okay, so it's more specific.
Like the Airbnb, they're making a lot of money.
Really?
A lot of money. I see a lot of people take a block of 6-bedroom flats, renovate it, within 2 years, 2.5 years, they make back their money.
Interesting.
They're making more money than the person that builds a block of flats. On those who say 2 houses, they take over old units and then just renovate them, turn them around, furnish them, and 150,000 per night, and they're always fully booked. So in terms of commercial real estate, yes, but not residential real estate that normal tenant.
Good point. Good point. Okay. Okay, good point. I hear you. So again, my next question is this. Malik, well, I spoke to the guys from PenUp. PenUp are the pension operators of Nigeria, right? And they were telling me back then that the government is looking at allowing a part of the retirement savings accounts to go towards pensions. Not saying it in concrete terms, but I could be able to use, say, 25% of my money to invest in a pension, to invest in a real estate. Maybe I give you guys the money as down payment, or I pay something like that. Would that really help?
Yeah, it will go a long way. Even it depends again on how much you are contributing. So the higher your pension contribution, potentially, of course, the higher the 25% is. So 25% of 60 million, we're using your 60 million house, that's about 4 million. It's very okay to go a long way, because one of the key barriers to entry in real estate, even for where mortgages are available, is that equity contribution. So the idea is to unlock equity contribution by using up to 25% of your RSA savings to fund your mortgage or a down payment towards the house. So 75% will now come from mortgage. I know that I've been following up with it. I spoke to somebody in Pencom 2 weeks ago. It's on the verge of, I think they had their board meeting recently.
Wow.
Once they finished with National Assembly, I saw them yesterday on TV. I'm sure it will soon come out.
So I mean, yeah, that's going to be a game changer, not just in land, in Nigeria. That single policy to allow retirement savings accounts go to developers or go to fund. I don't know how they're going to do it, but that's going to be at least I see quarter or double of the GDP right there in just that decision right there.
Yeah, I'm losing you.
So I'm saying if that does happen, right, that becomes a game changer, more or less, in Nigeria, because then you then have access to your long-term capital.
I can't hear you.
You can hear me? Let me see. Can anyone hear me? JP, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Can someone unmute if you can hear me?
Sorry, I didn't get you. I lost.
I know. Can someone unmute and just see if you can hear me? Can anybody else hear me?
Hello?
Hello, can anybody else hear me? Hi, can anybody else hear me? Looks like we have technical issues, guys. Let me see. I'm going to make you a co-host, JP. I will invite you to co-host, and I'm going to log out and log back in again. Let me see. Let me add this. So, JP, can you hear me though? If you can unmute, so I can just make sure I'm not the only one. Hello.
Pension funds, people are just not willing to, are unable to meet those requirements. So for us, we're looking at it very closely, and we hope that we'll be among the vanguard of people that will actually unlock and access those funds. So to do that, you need to have the right products, right product mix, because the houses that you are going to build and for people to access are not going to be in the hundreds of millions. They're definitely going to be affordable housing.
Yeah, affordable housing.
So you have to have the land, you have to have the right product, you have to have the brand name, the marketing reach, and the ability to deliver. So it's definitely going to have a positive impact. I'm very sure of that, because I know that equity contribution has been a very, very big problem for a lot of people.
Excellent.
Because some people have 10% or 20% of money just kept, lying down. If not for these savings that government has forced us to make, that we're going to benefit from now.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to let people ask you questions now, if you don't mind, from the floor. Let me just summarize what I picked from you today. Number one, the problem really is it's a location problem. Land is expensive, but if you do get land outside the quote unquote big areas, it is possible to build an affordable house for less than 20 million in Abuja if you have the land and possibly cheaper raw materials. I've heard you say retail renting might not give you the returns commensurate with inflation and, of course, with the cost of capital in Nigeria. You've also said that it's cheaper now, or should you say better in terms of planning, for a real estate company to basically incur the high interest costs of bank loans to develop real estate than doing off plan, which of course that means that the houses become more expensive, but at least you can plan along those cost elements, right? So let's just take a few guys that have been willing to speak. I've got Mark. Let me see. This is Global. Is it Global Igwe One? Go ahead, sir. You've got the floor. Go ahead and unmute, sir. Global. Was it?
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi.
Hello.
I can hear you. Go ahead and speak, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kalu, and thank you, Mr. Abdul Malik. So, I wanted to know, is there any way that somebody can actually be donating to this your organization, on monthly basis, investing in the organization? Because I want to. In my former place of work, I was contributing to this national housing fund, but when I changed work, I wasn't able to. The company didn't have that provision, so I was looking at whether it is possible to be contributing to such.
Like you don't. Are you saying you want to buy a house?
No, from my personal.
Okay, I'd like go ahead.
So yeah, you can still contribute to the National Housing Fund. There's even space for voluntary contribution, and you can contribute higher. So we are not a financial institution, so we're not allowed to collect investment in that nature or allow people to pay directly to us to National Housing Fund. You're paying National Housing Fund is directly from your salary, and they deduct and they send to you. So it is sent to your account at the National Housing Fund, just like you have for the retirement savings accounts. But if you want to invest in modern shelter, for example, when we have our Sukuk is going to come out very soon, we're working with United Capital on that. So there'll be instruments that we'll be bringing to the market, in this bid to bring about this fractional ownership of commercial real estate.
Go ahead, Bali. Sorry.
Yeah, so you can invest in those kind of instruments when they come to the market, or when the fractional ownership is available, like hospital bed spaces or square meters in a warehouse, or in malls, for example. Nobody needs to own one mall or build a mall or own everything. I can calculate 30,000 square meters, build a mall with it, and sell 10 square meters to different individuals, and we share the rent accordingly. I'll manage and we'll share the rent.
So Malik,
that's the way forward.
Malik, so can I can invest if I can invest fractionally. I don't have to own the house. I can just invest in part of that, and you guys, I will share the income from the rental. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So the hostel best pieces, we have 790 best pieces, and that's what we intend to sell the best pieces to investors like you. You just buy one single best piece or as many multiples as you want. Just like you buy shares in any ordinary company.
Yeah.
So you have the title and the ownership of that asset, but in reality, it's part of a pool, and the rent comes in, and then you get your rent. You don't have any issue with who's renting it, how it's being maintained, you just know that it's under management. So you sign a management contract with us, and whenever you want to go, we would even demand the right of first refusal to buy it for you at the daily market rate. So we will also make market for you. So assuming you want to sell your best piece and move in, we'll just buy it from you and we just liquidate and move on.
Excellent.
So that's the way.
Yeah, great.
That's for me.
When is this coming out?
Projects like housing we're talking about, it's not any one person or any one company. You need to be able to. If Nigerians can go all the way to Dubai and buy first group, a hotel room and be getting rent, why can't we do the same in Nigeria? In Lagos, in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, places where there's real demand for these things.
Excellent. Good. I think that answers the question perfectly for also Mike. So you can invest directly to his company, but they're going to bring out a product that would allow you to invest in what they are building. So you can enjoy that real estate return on your portfolio. I'm definitely going to look at that carefully when it comes out. Let me get Mahmood Mood One. Mood One, how you doing? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Kalmi. So I was going to add to some of the things Abdul Malik said regarding the pension funds used for part of as equity contribution.
Okay.
So firstly, we must understand that it wouldn't be available to everyone. I think you have to have like a certain amount in your pension fund before you would be eligible. Then secondly, it touched on what he just said now, because I think it's a good thing for everyone, the contributor, the regulator, and the developer themselves, because firstly, for developers to take part in to benefit from this, they have to put themselves together, put their houses together, and there has to be some form of standardization. And it's good to hear that Modern Shelter is floating a sukuk. That means, for them to do that, that means, they have gotten their houses together in terms of corporate governance, first of all, which is most important. And again, for pension funds to invest, it has to be in form of a product, which they're working towards. So the issue of maybe you paying off plan and not owning a house after many years, it would I would not say it would not exist anymore, but it would be at its barest minimum. So I think it's for developers like Modern Shelter to take the opportunity. Don't wait until an opportunity comes before you put your house together. Just put your house together now. Start getting things right. Certainly, these products, not just because the pension funds are coming, but there will be many more opportunities. But of course, people have to have the confidence to throw their money, because anybody you tell now, people are afraid to buy houses off plan. Very few people, they're okay, I'm fine off plan. But again, it's between the devil and the goose. If you buy off plan, you buy it cheaper. If you wait, you have a house, you would you buy a lot more than you should have if you had bought it earlier. So I think the opportunity is there. The pension funds, we are knocking on 15 trillion. There's enough for developers. Enough money for I wouldn't say all developers, but of course it would meet the funding gap for most developers. But they have to put their houses in order. At least we that were contributors, they have to boost our own confidence to ensure that, okay, if I put my savings, my life savings, this is what I've been working for. If I put it here, I'm going to get value for it. So, and I think, like you had said, I think before the end of the year, we should have these guidelines out. So maybe when we'll be looking at 23 for commencement date of this.
Interesting.
So I think I think it's good for us to also prepare for this.
Okay, and question for you, hop on. Question for you: will this need a bill, or just the PENCOM guidelines are going to be sufficient to get this rolling?
No, PENCOM with the guide is going to come out in form of the guidelines.
Okay.
So they have sent the draft copy to stakeholders.
Yeah.
Just stakeholders. Usually that is the practice. Send the guideline, the draft to stakeholders. They have their input. Then they go back, sit down, and look at it. Then it just comes out as a guideline. So if in fact it's in the part of the act already covers that. So they're just a guideline on modalities on how to go about it.
Okay, excellent, good job. Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. I do appreciate it. So Malik, you heard him. He says go ahead and start, and then the guidelines will catch up with you. I think it's a wonderful suggestion. Yeah.
We've actually been working with PENCOM, for almost 4 years. We've known about it. We've been tracking it. It's the guidelines that you really need to work on it because pension funds are very, very sensitive funds. You don't want to just bring them out and people lose 25% of their RSC just like that in one fell swoop. So it's a good thing that they've taken their time, and we would be ready by the grace of God to take advantage of that to help people. There's really nothing that is as rewarding as seeing a family move into their house. It's such, there's no joy that you can use to describe that. You help people, genuine people that need houses. All this your 60 million, 25 million houses, and they buy those houses through mortgage and all that, and you help them through the process. The appreciation, the level of gratitude, and the satisfaction you get from seeing them, that happiness. Honestly, it's something that if you can bottle and sell, you make a lot. So
I hear you.
For me, it's better than money. There's no amount of money that ordinarily can keep me in real estate, because there are other things that you can probably do with your talents, or maybe financial services, and all that. But that process, from meeting a client, meeting his wife, meeting his family, seeing them put together their money, their equity, probably joint ownership, you help them with the mortgage process, because it's very difficult. There are a lot of people that don't know their rights. They don't even know that Federal Mortgage Bank exists, or that their contributions entitle them to mortgages. So helping them through that journey and finally handing over the key, and seeing that gratitude, it's that satisfaction that you get from that. Honestly, for me, that's the best part of this business.
Thank you so much. Let me get Olufemi. Olufemi, go ahead, and that's the Ojo Olufemi. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Kalu. Good evening, everyone. Nice to be here again. My question goes to the developer. So let's say I got a present. I want to liquidate my property, let's say in time frame. How do you determine the price to liquidate the property? Is it based on the market structure? Do you guys determine, or how does it happen in the course of the liquidation of the price? Thank you.
Great question.
Yeah, it's the market. Yeah, it's the market price. The value is. There'll probably be. We have to have valuers for transparency's sake. Because don't forget, when you use instruments like Sukuk to build assets, there's a lot of regulatory oversight and governance. So it is not Mother Shelter that will just decide unilaterally that this asset is 10 million today or 5 million. It's there will be a process that will determine that price and that trading price. At the end of the day, it's that of a willing buyer and a seller. To say, we will buy this property off you at X amount of ROI over. So let's say you hold it for 5 years and you want to sell it over 5 years. We'll determine what value you will have added at that time and pay you that price.
Great. Do you have any comeback, Olufemi, or should I move ahead? Olufemi, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Kalu.
Thank you so much. Let me get Ebuka 4996 to come in. Ebuka, hi, TechSoft.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, hi. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I don't know if my network is okay.
I can hear you
So
perfect.
my question is this: let's say I'm a tech guy. Let's say probably if I'm to convert the money to Naira equivalent, let's say like 2M or let's say 2.5M.
Is that Naira?
I don't work with the federal government or the state government or a company in Nigeria whereby you have your pension or something like that. Is there like a package whereby you can get a house and from your salary, okay, you want to be paying monthly, and probably you can the estate agency or developer can give you a house whereby you can just pay a monthly, probably 2 monthly, and you're confident that you're going to get a house. It's now actually possible.
Yeah, Malik, so you see, the tech community is a very interesting space. It's growing, and there's a lot of, you guys have all the money. So definitely, you see, we are not financial institutions as developers. We don't have the latitude to wait maybe 15 years, 10 years, collecting 2 million a month. So, but there are financial institutions, there are banks. There are lots of banks actually, about 4 or 5 banks that I know that today give up to 20 years mortgage for people like you, right? So you can come in, you have arrangement to buy the mortgage, the property itself is the collateral. And your income, is enough. Once the bank does the evaluation on you, you just paying your 2 million monthly, and the house, you live in it, it's your own, and when you finish paying, the transfer gets over to you. So what is happening is that people don't like going to banks or talking to banks. They just prefer to do. They ask you all the time, do you do rent one? Do you do all this? There has to be a bank involved. So in modern shops, what we do is when we start talking to clients, we have our financial partners, our banks, that we help the customers through the journey. So from filling forms to the requirements, telling you what you need. Probably because of our background, founders' background in banking. That's how we even got into real estate, because we're managing some real estate assets for the bank, and we help to grow the real estate portfolio of the bank and the market in Abuja, basically. So we manage that journey. So we help you with the banking portion, the products available for the mortgage and all that. So yes, those options are available, but you need to find also the developers that have matching products. It's very important that your needs are met from the banking side and the developer side. Because if the developers are building things that are way beyond 2 million a month, which is very good, by the way. 2 million a month, you can probably get something very decent, and then you can get the bank. The challenge with banks is that our banks are still not, very few banks recognize, tech income, because they want to see something that is coming on the 15th of the month, that is on a pay slip, that is predictable, that is permanent and pensionable, those kind of things. But there are conversations that we can have. So, for example, we're partners to Decagon. Sure, as a tech guy, you know Decagon. So we know how this thing works. The Sterling Bank is very, they understand also the space, and they're willing to capture the space. So we can easily go and sit down with them if there are enough of you to say, look, we have 20, 30 guys, and they want to own their houses, and this is their average income. Like the developers we train in Decagon, guys that we know, we are the ones that even get them the jobs they do. So we have a handle on how much they earn monthly potentially, and the bank also sees those kind of bonus. So and we can even guarantee them and say, look, these guys, if they default, as a developer, I guarantee I can take a risk on this guy, because the asset is there. If you decide to move to Canada and stop your payment or something, the asset is there. You lose the. So we sell it, pay you back whatever is your own, and then sell it to another tech guy that is coming up. The most important thing is there's something coming periodically to service that person. And our banks are still not at a place. I think apart from Sterling Bank, there's no bank that is probably going to be comfortable dealing with somebody that, in their quote and unquote, they'll say they don't know when the next money is coming. Even though they'll see the money, they want appointment letter, They want your,
those. Yeah.
It's something that honestly, it's very exciting. We can take it offline. We can discuss, right? If there are enough of you, we can come and build the place and call it a tech world or something, and people there, the terms and everything, go to the bank. We do a lot of advocacy. Again, because we are bankers, we know what the want is. They just want that source of repayment. And you don't blame them because they have guidelines, the CBN, there's NDIC. And if they don't do that, the banks will collapse and then everybody will be in trouble. So, and some of these things also are not the job of banks, traditional banks. It's supposed to be mortgage banks that should come up with those kind of products because they are specialized institutions. That's their job. But you find them doing money lending. Like this, that okay, there's a problem, there's a sector, there's that ends too much trouble. How can we help them? How can we develop a new mortgage product that will attract these particular guys? What do we do for Nigerians and diaspora? All these kind of things. They don't think. They just want deposits. And as long as banks and people in financial services don't, go beyond traditional deposits, current accounts, savings accounts, our financial services will not be different and they will not be developed. Everybody will be leading bank. But the bank that is your traditional brick and mortar bank, it's not everything that they must do, and it's not everything that they can do. There has to be special banks, and we have them, PMIs, but they just, they don't do what they're supposed to do. That's the honest truth. And that's an opportunity.
If it's possible, can you name the bank that these tech guys or non-gig guys could go to get this kind of loans? If it's not possible, that's fine. But could you name the bank?
No, I don't know of a product right now that addresses them, but I know that Sterling Bank is doing a lot with that guys. They're giving loans to the young programmers, student loan, they pay us, and then they work after 2-3 years, they pay. So there are student loans for tech guys, and I know that if we sit down with them, they can also do these products. Right, especially if we, the developers, are willing to even act as sort of guarantors to that. I know Sterling Bank can do that. I know that Jais Bank can listen. I know Touch Bank can listen. Those 3 banks, I know I can speak for them. We've done businesses, unconventional, quote unquote, unconventional transactions that ordinarily conventional banks will not even touch.
Okay.
For them, they can't wrap their heads around. There's no salary domiciliation. Okay, this guy is not employed, because they just look at you like, how those people, I don't want to call their name, I don't want to be in trouble. Those guys that used to stop people and collect their laptop, because they just look at you, this guy, how can you be earning 2 million a month? You must be doing Yahoo. You understand? They don't understand. And we have to get them to a place where they understand that, look, just because I have that on my head, it's not that I'm a useless person or I'm not a good member of society. I should own the house.
This is a great point you're making. Just to be clear, that if you have there are some banks that can work with you. If you're a gig employer, your revenue is not monthly, right? Because it's really like you're saying, banks want to have prepayment and they look at domiciliation, they look at collateral. It's a very, very outdated model, but it's the model they're using. So it's good you've mentioned these other banks that folks can go to. If you come together and your payment comes once a year or once a gig and all that, it's not like regular, like a salary. You can still get a mortgage. I know it's possible, but I'm happy that you're saying it there. Texas, you want to add anything? Just quickly unmute so I can go to JP.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Abdulhamid. I will appreciate your contribution. Yeah, after this, I'm going to I think I've already followed this, so I might cut this so we can continue offline. So lastly, let's say we get a bank now, and let's just assume maybe I'm paying 2M, we'll get a bank and we'll agree. If I'm going to be doing my monthly payments, at what point do you say I own the house, or do I need to pay completely? Let's say the house is like 40M. Do you have to pay the 40M completely before you say, finally you own the house? Or is there a particular point, probably it's okay, at this point you can actually own the house? I just want to find out from you guys.
Okay.
There is 2 steps. from the moment that the bank credits your mortgage, you own the house. The papers are in your name and everything. But the house will be, the bank will hold the title. It means that you can't sell the house without their consent. Because you can sell and pay them down their money. So it's not that you can't sell. But you can rent out the house, you can live there, you can do everything. You're the beneficial owner of the house. Right? So it's until you finish paying down the mortgage, then you can say 100% that the house is your own. Because if there's still a mortgage, then there's a lien on it. The bank has a charge on the property until you finish paying them their money. So if you are able to invent something, for example, and you hit a very good valuation for your company, you just come and call the manager and give them a check. So the house becomes your own. So it's your beneficial ownership is yours, but the title will be held by the bank in terms of the paper. They will register a lien on it, but it's your name that is on the offer letter.
Just like when you buy a car, Texas, if you buy a car from a bank, you can go license the car. It will have your name and name of the bank as the owners of the car. So once you pay off, you go back to the registrar, you take the bank's name off. It's the exact same way, yeah. No difference there. Well, great question, Texas. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Malik, I beg, please follow me back. Oh, I can't really
Tech. Come on, man. Send him a DM. Yeah. We have JPN Okwoba. How you doing, sir? JPN, go ahead, sir. I can hear you, JPN, so I'm going to move on. Hello, sir. Wale, this is Jesus. Wale with the Jesus logo. Wale, hi, how you doing?
Hi, Kalu, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, yes, go ahead.
Hello, Kalu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for this space, Kalu. Learned a lot.
Great.
Okay, I'm kind of just looking for information around if you know there are any products servicing the diaspora in possibly getting a mortgage to buy a house.
Malik, quick question. Nice question. Thank you, sir.
I will have to confirm which banks, honestly, off the top of my head. I know also that Abikedabi and the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, they've been holding housing shows. We've attended one, which they've invited the experts of the different communities from Germany, Canada, Nigeria. So that's why they came in the State House. We had a fair where they meet developers after, of course, having vetted with developers. And then I know that FHA right now is trying to build, that's the Federal Housing Authority, is trying to build a district in Maitama 2 called the Diaspora City. They also have a mortgage bank. FHA has its own mortgage bank, and they are working with the various diaspora groups, for uptake. So the whole idea is that Nigerians in diaspora that want something at home or want to relocate, we want to build a city for them that is at least comparable to what they're used to: open spaces, greens, constant power, light, security, at least within that district. The district is nothing less than 350 hectares, so it's quite large. So it's a city within a city. And I know we're discussing, we're going to have a meeting with them next Thursday on this same diaspora city. We're one of many developers that are trying to get into that project and work with them. So yeah, there are lots of there are a few initiatives, organized initiatives, with the government that are credible, because to the extent that you're not in the country, you're not around, it's very important that whatever you're doing, you are sure that there's credibility with the people you're dealing with, so that you don't just give them or give people your money and you come and hear stories after 2-3 years when everybody come out.
Oh, Malik, let me ask you a question. Malik, let me ask you a question.
Nigerian Diaspora Commission. I advise you check their website for that information.
Malik, question for you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Malik, for that. I mean, so I'm aware of most of what you talked about, but I've checked this website severally, and it seems that all these are still just constant discussions. Nothing is really happening yet. So that's why I'm curious if there's something else that's really already happening, or they're all kind of at the same stage of planning, so to speak.
So I know for the FHA, because of the size, right, it's so huge, it's a big project. It requires a lot of funding, and that is the stage where discussing at. I cannot say a lot here. I don't have authorization, but I know that they are working on it, and that something will come out of FHA very soon. For the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, we've been to the fair, we've spoken to them, but you know how government works. It's very slow. They don't seem to have the same urgency that the private sector has and people have. So, and I know also some developers, Brazen Armors, I know have gone to meet Nigerian diaspora, actually gone to the UK, to the US to attend your annual events and to talk to you guys directly over there. For me, I think what is key in creating confidence with the diaspora is that if, for example, you want to buy a house or mother's house and you are from diaspora, I should be able to, if we arrange and there's a group, we would be able to give you a bank guarantee, because that's the best security you can get. No stories. We will discuss, okay, you pay us over 18 months. We're building this type of houses for you. Let's say Nigerians in Canada, medical community, whatever association, under the auspices of the association. So on one hand, we have a group of people, which a minimum number, because it has to make sense. You have 25, 30 people, you agree on the land, the type of houses, the prices, and how they are going to pay. In turn, you now give that institution a bank guarantee, so that if you don't deliver in 18 months, their money is paid back to them by the bank. They are not, there's a third party, that is a credible institution. And I believe that is the best way to go about it for me. If I have access to a diaspora community,
Malik, you've gone off a bit. The Matrix got you, Malik. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just offer a bank guarantee. For me, that's the best structure. And I advise if you guys are dealing with anybody, any other developer, just ask the developer for bank guarantee. If they can't give you a bank guarantee, it means they don't have capacity. And then that's the red flag, and you just say bye-bye and leave them.
Say it again, please.
So if you come to Modern Shelter, we'll give you a bank guarantee.
So the bank guarantee is very, very important for risk management and due diligence. Is that what you're saying?
That's the only... Because they are not here, they are not in Nigeria. They are giving you hard currency, and all the country risk and everything. The best they can do, or the best you can do for them, you as the developer, if you really want their business, it's just give them a bank guarantee so that they can sleep, and you know that they will give you the money, and you build, because once there's certainty of cash flow, there's no reason why you can't finish a project in 18 months, unless it's like all these multiple story tall buildings and all that.
Gotcha.
But a normal duplex or a terrace of 2 floors, 18 months, what I know.
But Malik, let me ask you a question. Malik, can you hear me? If I was to come with like 5 people, I live in America, I come with 5 people and I say want to build an estate, can you guys just do turnkey for us? 5 of us come together to Urban Shelter, we can do a turnkey with you guys. That's possible?
It's possible.
Okay.
But the more I want to do more. But 5 people, we can. Why not?
Okay.
Even 1 person.
One person. Okay. All right. So Wale, that sort of covers maybe any thought you have. If you have just yourself, or if you have an association, your old school, things like that, you guys can come together and approach them. I know him personally. I know that's why he's here on my spaces. So his son I can vouch for. Yeah. So see if you can do that. Yeah. Malik, I have a question for you. Well, I don't know if you're good. I want to move on. You're good? Great. Malik, I have a question from Twitter. Someone is asking you, right? The model for the hostels, you are talking about maybe 700 beds. He's asking, can we do just 50 to 100 beds so it is smaller, and then we can do it in more communities, maybe smaller communities, but 50 beds or 100 beds and all that. He's just asking your thoughts on that.
Well, of course, it depends on the location. Always is about location. So here, when we have 790, we are in the middle of 2 universities, and between the two of them, the shortage right now of about 5,000 bed spaces. So, and they are growing rapidly. Schools are growing. So, even at 790, we're not even scratching the surface, right? If we have a deficit of 2 million in the country, then, building 50 units or 50 bed spaces, it's easy to manage that. It's small and all that, but I mean, if you can also build 1,000, why would you build?
Like the scale, economics of scale is better for you.
Players in Abuja here, they have those small ones, 50, 30, even 10. So it all depends on your capacity and at what level you want to play in the market.
Gotcha.
For us, we really want to take this. We want to be the market leaders. Next 5 years, that's what we want to do. And we can't do them with those numbers of 50 and all that. The problem with Nigeria, to be honest, is that we really need to do these things. We need to do them big and in big numbers. One might real estate. In Brazil, they had a president in 1958. 1958, for our independence, that in 1 year he built 350,000 houses. That's how you tackle the housing crisis. You don't tackle housing crisis with 700 houses or 300 units. You see people cut ribbon and happy that the governor is building 120 units of houses. It's sad because it's not even scratching the surface. It cannot even provide for the staff of government house, talk less of the state, talk less of the federation. So the same thing, we have to look at this student housing problem as an emergency. And how can we get these numbers out as quickly as possible? How can we structure it so that these pension funds that are just sitting there, they can invest in this and we can unlock this infrastructure? In fact, this infrastructure, real estate, let me give you an example. The hostel there. When we looked at the hostel, when we finished signing it, we're looking at hostel, but me, I was looking at hospital ward. I said, but this thing is the same thing with the hospital ward now. The difference is there's no difference. The only thing that there's no oxygen pipe to the rooms and all those other services. So I'm saying, why can't I go to teaching hospital to loot and say, give me land, let me build it. What the wards for you? You give me the money for the bed space as the patient. And then you take the medical part of the money. I don't care about the medical part of the money. Just give me money for my bed space. And if everywhere you go, teaching hospitals, you see people lie on corridors, no beds. So why can't we unlock that? Why are we only thinking of residential real estate? That homes, people want to buy single family homes to just live in. That's like very, very, for me, it's very, anybody can do that. There's really nothing spectacular in doing that. But to help to, as a developer, how can I help to, push this Nigerian economy forward? How can we help to reduce infrastructure gap? So we're building markets. And when I say market, not small markets, we're talking of 10,000 shops, warehouses, trailer parks, light industries, processing zones, those kind of things. Go and take, our commodity markets and upgrade them to where you can export directly from there, having added value. Use people like Nexim, NISA, CPN. The funds are there. But it's just that you need to have the ability to see the big picture and how you can connect the dots as far as real estate is concerned.
Excellent.
Look at the people, those guys in Ikoyi, but what they're doing is real estate. They're selling burial ground. There are so many parts of real estate that are very, very profitable and we're not touching them. We're not even scratching the surface. We don't even see it as a market opportunity.
Good job. Let me get JPN to come in here and ask this question. JPN Okwora. You've got the floor, sir. I can hear him, so let me just take him off. Let me get Andrew. Andrew, hi, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Kalu. Kindly, please, did I hear you right when you said PENCOM now has enabling law to invest its money in the real estate?
No.
And that as individuals, we can have part shares, or what is it called again?
Let me explain that. Let me explain that carefully, Andrew. So right now, under PENCOM guidelines, the pension fund administrators can invest in REITs, in mortgage-backed securities. So if you invest in a retirement savings account, the pension fund administrators can invest in REITs and mortgage-backed securities, but they're very, very complex. What PENCOM wants to do now is allow you as the contributor to take a part of your retirement savings account and invest directly into a building or a real estate project or to pay a mortgage. We don't have the guidelines yet, but the general idea is that you can take a part of your retirement savings account and invest in real estate. That would then give developers like Modern Shelter access to low-cost long-term funds that will then drop their cost of production and then allow them to deliver affordable homes at a lower price. So they are saying it is still in the guideline stage, it's still in the public discourse space. It might come out, say, maybe 2023, then that will then see the exact guidelines, and then we'll take it from there.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so that was your question, Andrew? Okay, let me move on to real estate bond. James, not bond. Please go ahead, sir.
Oh, wow. So, first of all, I'd like to give kudos to Abdul Malik. This is one of the most sincere, let's say, discussions I've had in a long time, because most of us in this industry don't like to share information to ourselves, and they have dropped so many things that I'm like, to just add, because we are developers, right? We just use regular build and sell, but for some months we have been doing some research to see how we can pivot, because the returns are not as juicy as they used to be. And, some of the results you have gotten, he mentioned two of them, some other developments we can get into for better returns. He mentioned one of them, warehousing. We've already gotten some units, some plots of land around the Eleco for that purpose, right? He also talked about the student housing. A third one I'd like to mention, where you can also go into and get some outside returns is data centers. I mean, like you mentioned, like there's a lot of funding coming into tech, right? These guys are bringing a lot of money to this country. And there will be growing need for, data centers where they can, house, some of these guys and stuff like that. I just wanted to just put it out there, in the spirit of giving out information. So anybody interested in that can run with it. But personally, my own question to Abdul Malik is, I was having, last week I had this discussion with a client, right? I gave him a random mark and put him off. But since our discussion, I personally have been having the internal debate in my head. So he said, due to our unstable, hello?
Yeah, you have to go to your question very quick. Yes. Do you mind to go to your question?
Yes, the discussion we were having, right? So he was like, he has $100,000 to put into real estate, but he was having reservations based on the instability of our currency. And he said this, let's assume that he buys a property now at 700 naira to $1, a 70 million naira house in, let's say, an apartment rather, in Pludon Lekki phase 1, right? Now, because of the fact that naira to dollar is going at 700, that's why that apartment now has risen to 70 million. That's at $100,000. Now, let's say the new government comes and the economy booms and the naira falls to about 500, 400. The value of that property is going to go down because, like you mentioned, we import most of the materials we use in our developments, right? And the cost of those things are going to come down. So subsequent developments in that area are going to also crash, thereby crashing the value of that property. That is one. If the currency keeps on falling as it is, 1,000 naira, he's not going to lose money in dollars. So I don't know if I'm making sense. Either Carlo or Adumali, how do you like? Yeah.
Hard and fast food. If the economy gets better, let's say, and then maybe naira crashes to 250, to $1, for example, it's still he still has that asset. And in that area, because that means the economy is doing well. And if the economy is doing well, the price of property also goes up. So for the dollar to crash against the naira, it means that the economy is doing very well, which is good news for real estate. Because then there will be a boom. And then people can buy and the assets, rents can go up, all those things that happen around that. But I hear what you're saying, because you see, if somebody brings a real life example, like in 2016, you bring in $100,000, you buy a house of 30 million. Today you sell it at 80 million. You are just getting back 100,000. That's if you are doing dollar for dollar. But if you bought it with naira, you look at it like you made profits. You bought it 30 million, you sold it 80 million. But what's the purchasing power of that your 80 million or your 70 million? So these are macroeconomic issues. Maybe Kanu will be in a better place to answer that question for us in terms of the currency risk and the comparative advantages of either changing dollar into naira. My own rule is that personally, I don't. If you have naira income, you invest in Nigeria with naira income, and then if you want to invest abroad in the same way that you invest with your dollar income, because this changes is so much. You can't really. There are so many issues, but can you maybe help us?
Yeah. So the way I look at it is this, right? If you let's look at big picture now. The best selling asset class, or should we say the best performing asset class in the entire world over a 10-year period, looking at historical data, right? If you are buying an exchange traded fund, I've seen a lot of things here. That's going to be US equities. The next is going to be US properties, VNQ. If you bought into US property for over 10-year period as an ETF, your return over 10 years would have been a lot higher. But if you are in Nigeria and you are building a house in Nigeria, you are renting that house out to people that are in Nigeria. Even if they are foreigners, they are going to be Nigerian. If you build with Naira, that means you take Naira at a cost and you convert the currency into an asset, real estate. So it becomes an asset in real estate. The question for you is that the returns you are getting from that asset, is it a real return, which means does it beat inflation? That's for you. Nigerian naira inflation, naira spending. It doesn't matter if your money came from London, but the returns you are making, does it beat Nigerian inflation? If it does not, then you can say, okay, it's not giving you a real income. It's giving you income, but not real. If you bring in dollars, so you are doing carry trade, you are bringing in dollars from America at say 2-3% to Nigeria, you convert it to Naira and you then invest in the property. If you are selling that property, you can easily buy an FX forward from the Central Bank of Nigeria and take your dollars out. So you are in with dollars, you sell in Naira, you take your Naira and you buy back your dollar FX forward and you exit Nigeria. So totally different. But once you are in Nigeria and you are collecting rent in Nigeria, you are now exposed to the systematic risk of Nigeria, which includes inflation. So like I said at the very, very beginning, if you are buying and selling, it's a different proposition if you are renting. Once you are renting and collecting Naira, then you are in the systematic risk. If you are renting and collecting dollars, then you are not in Nigeria, you are in America. So you have to compare that dollar return ROI, the rental yield, to a similar rental yield in America. Hence, you make money. So the question is, can you collect dollars in Nigeria? If the answer is yes, more power to you. If the answer is no, then you can't do anything about it. You can't diversify away that Nigerian risk. Does that make sense, sir?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. That's a great question. Thank you so much. Well, we're going to shut down. Malik, I've kept you here for about close to 2 hours. I know I promised you. I thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. I'm just going to take the questions and then we'll just shut down pretty quick. I've got Esiga. That's Chikwedom. Hi, how you doing? Go ahead, sir.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Not much contribution. I just want to address something the last speaker said about data warehousing for tech homes or tech hubs. Okay, currently I work with a telecommunication company and we have established a tier 4 data center for storage and for hosting and other services. And it's a wonderful business if anybody wants to venture into it. It's lucrative, although that Nigeria don't understand data yet, but for those in tech, if you want to go into any venture in technology, data warehousing is a place one should look at. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, good point. Good point. Let me also get. I've got. I am. So Eriolua, hi. How you doing? Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Kalu. Thank you so much for always bringing out these beautiful spaces. And thank you, Mr. Abdul. Let me just call you Abdul. Good evening. Thank you so much for the great work you've done. I just quickly wanted to add to what you just said with regards to the price and the value of the asset. Nigeria is one of the best places. Many may not believe and they may not accept, but it's okay. Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt is one of the best places anybody can invest in Africa. I'm in South Africa, and according to the recent research by Goldman Sachs, these places, the value will consistently go up, especially in the next 20 years. So, if we get the election right next year, the probability of the value of your asset in Abuja getting like 20-30% increase within that 1 year is so possible. So don't focus that the naira is falling right now. Focus that the price of your asset is different from the value that will keep going up. So your focus is make sure you buy at the right place in Abuja and make sure you buy with the right person so that the security of what you have spent is certain. Then on that certainty, build a beautiful portfolio and make sure you know exactly what you are doing. You are going to get your return. There are guys who are doing it in Abuja. There are guys who are doing it in Port Harcourt. There are guys who are doing it in PH. Any of these three places in Nigeria, you are guaranteed that you will never lose your money. Whether you are doing with dollars, whether you are doing with naira, whether you are doing with pounds, whether you are doing it with whatever it is, even with dirham. The truth of the matter is, I know some guys, including myself, we invested in some property in Lekki last year, and I can assure you now that yes, the naira has fallen, but 30% increase. That's to me, you wouldn't get it anywhere.
So you are talking about. Let's go. You are talking about the capital appreciation of the asset.
Yes, exactly. So I'm saying if you're going to be investing, focus on those two things, especially the capital appreciation, then the cash flow. But don't let the need to earn a good dollar ratio now buy you from investing on the essence of the major possible gain in real estate, which is the capital appreciation. Because if we look at what is going on now, you may not like it, but in the long run, the capital appreciation is the best you can ever have anywhere in Africa. It's the best you can ever have, especially Abuja. You can do your research and you would see that Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, they are hot cake, and if you find yourself that you have a property there, keep it.
So that's one thing again, right? So it's all about, and just to be clear to everybody, I agree what you said, no problems. Property is, if you buy a house, it's an asset on your balance sheet. It's an asset. But the rent that you get from the house goes to your income statement. So remember, guys, you buy a house, it shows up on your asset side, your balance sheet. If you don't use any borrowed funds to buy that home, then that home is sitting on your balance sheet, and every year your net worth increases because your assets, your house property is increasing. If you go to a bank, they say, how much are you worth? You can say, I'm worth $1 million or $1 billion because of the assets on your balance sheet. The problem in Nigeria is this: that asset on our balance sheet, it does not come to our income statement. In America, for instance, it is possible to walk into a bank and say, I have this home. I don't want to sell it, but I want to take equity on that home. They would run their calculations, pull your credit score, pull the value of that home, and tell you your home is worth $500,000. We can offer you a loan of $100,000 for 25 years at about 3-4%. So imagine you have $100,000 of the home value cash from your asset size that goes to your income side. You can do anything you want with that cash. You can pay down your debt. You can go to Nigeria and build new housing complexes and sell. This is one reason why, if you look at America, the black, quote unquote, the black Americans, that demographic is not as rich as the white demographic. The white folks own more homes. So they have homes on their balance sheet and they can draw equity from their balance sheet to their income side. In Nigeria, we have a lot of people that have homes on their balance sheet, but there's no income on their income statement. Drive through Ikeja GRA, drive to Ogodo GRA, even drive to Ikoyi. I own this home, but you don't have 100,000 naira or $100,000 cash in your pocket. This is one thing is, again, we have to change. Home ownership gives wealth in America because they are able to monetize the home. Simply owning a home of itself that appreciates 100,000% does nothing for you. A landlord in Surulere has a home that is worth 50 million, but he can't pay for gas that is 200 naira to fill it. He can't sell one room now. He has to sell the whole house. And once you sell that house, you've gone from asset to cash. And cash in Nigeria depreciates by 20% per annum as we're looking at the rates for 2022. Sorry, guys, that was an off tangent. I just want to put that in there for everyone just to understand the finance, personal finance side of it. Yeah. All right, I've got Malik. Malik Kuti. Hi, Abu Malik.
Mr. Kalu, can I please jump in for a minute?
Sure, go for it.
Please. Oh, thank you so much. What you're saying, exact same thing operates here in South Africa. And it's not people like myself and a whole lot of people are tapping into. And I so appreciate you emphasizing on the importance of cash flow. And I think that's one of the reasons why many people in Nigeria are struggling and they are landlords. So you saying that, I really hope they take advantage of it and make sure that, yes, what operates in America and South Africa and in a few places is not operating in Nigeria, but you can turn it around yourself, leveraging on cooperative society, leveraging on, the Ajo or whatever it is that you can leverage on to make sure that, you build that real estate portfolio for the sole purpose of renting it out to make money, so that as you make money monthly or yearly or however you choose to collect your rent, you also get your capital rate. That way, you're not bothered. You know that, okay, you're going to get money two ways. One, your capital gain as the value increases, and the rent, And if you're in America or any other places or in South Africa or other places that he mentioned, and you're not doing any of this, you are really missing out on a big opportunity. Thank you so much, Mr. Kalu. God bless.
Amen. Thank you. So, Malik, we're going to wind it down. I'm going to take our last caller speaker now. This is Mr. Oba Malik. Oba Malik, you've got the floor. Go ahead, and I'll just wind the space down. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Mr. Abdul Malik that spoke earlier really covered most of the basics, okay? But I'll just try to speak to it. I'm not a player in the industry, but I'll come from experience point of view. So if anyone is looking to get into real estate, and there's a quote from Mr. Abdul Malik that says, don't wait and get into real estate, get into real estate and wait, which is valid. But of course, if you read that, you want to look at it and say, but you need money to get into real estate. There are the mortgage options. And like I mentioned, like someone was saying, could you do 2 million monthly? The mortgage laws in Nigeria would only allow you to do 1/3 of your earning to finance mortgage. So that's there. But there are many private investors that are playing in the mortgage industry, but most of their funds are not cool money. What I mean by that is they want you to buy from them, but they barely give you beyond 5 years to pay back. Most of the times 2 years, 48 months. And for me, like I said, from experience point of view, I was lucky when I was in Abuja. Someone had something like that, and it was block of flats. and he gave 4 years for a payment period. So he would expect you to do a payment, and now 4 years. And in 4 years, I was able to pay it down, and then so I can say I have the property, and like you say, it will be in my balance sheet, I can asset. But again, because it is a residential thing, the calculation is that it will take almost 20 years for me to zero what I've put in buying that property. But of course, by the time I do that, I still have the property again in my balance sheet. So that's just the contribution I just do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Abdulmalik, I mean, it's been a great pleasure having you here, just talking about real estate and giving us those nuances, those little nuggets. I wondered if you want to make maybe a closing remark so we can do a proper thank you and then shut the space down. Thank you, sir. You got the floor.
Thank you so much for, to all the listeners. I've actually learned a lot also, especially from the people in the diaspora. I think Nigeria has great potentials if only we can harness our numbers. We can do so much. The possibilities are even scary. We hope that we get it right in the next election. We pray for peace and prosperity in our country, because you can only progress where there's peace. Then prosperity actually follows that. I would like to thank you so much, also Kalu, for doing me worthy of being on your space. I've been following these spaces. I've been following you also for so long, since Spaces for Change, 2010, 2009, and I've always learned a lot from you. Thank you very much for having me, and very available always to carry on the conversation with anybody that wants to keep on talking. I've followed back as many people as have followed me, and I'm always available.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You can help render.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate you, Abdulmalik. I mean, it's one thing, you don't know how well I know you. I mean, let me give you a hint. Katagum, Katagum. Just if you can explore that link, you would know how well I know you. Bauchi Katagum, right? So it's always a pleasure for me. It's always a pleasure for me to see professionals. When I knew Abdulmalik, he was also in management, and he has worked his way up to now the CEO. I didn't know he was the CEO. Now he's the CEO and all that. Dedication, love for family, just an all-round good guy. So it's very important when you do business that you do business with people you can trust, right? This is why I'm very careful who I bring up to the spaces, because people listening. But I think you can trust him, and a lot of issues with real estate. So if you want to get something done, follow him, ask him for advice, and see what can happen. Now, I brought almost 2 or 3 real estate guys here, and I pick them before I bring them in here. Thank you guys for listening all the time. I mean, you guys are always giving us good questions, always engaging, and always making me feel very, very loved when you come on the spaces. Remember, guys, I do have my book out. Let's talk about your money. We talk about real estate there as well. We try to break down these nuances. You have to understand that real estate is all about location, but it's also about understanding where real estate is on your balance sheet and on your income statement. Very, very important. All right, guys, we're going to shut down now. Thank you once again, and I hope and wish everyone a good weekend as you enjoy your day. All right, guys, take care. Love you all, and bye.